Yari presented to you, I have facts, constituency by constituency.
Get ready for the ultimate political showdown every Sunday at 6 p.m. Join the dynamic Fᴏᴜᴜᴜ, your trusted guide through the maze of politics and current affairs. Political Roundtable,
where the sharpest mind dissect the hottest topic shaping our world today.
Don't miss out on the conversation everyone will be talking about.
Join Fᴏᴜᴜᴜ as he dives deep into the heart of the matters, exploring the issues that matters most to you.
And there is no subsidy in that sector, according to the government. So what you have, and the government is very reluctant to accept this, that we are funding the discos, they are cash-strapped. And so the government is trying to raise money for them. And that is why...
Tune in to Political Roundtable every Sunday at 6 p.m. only on Mainland 98.3 FM. Political Roundtable, where politics meets passion. Stay informed, stay engaged.
Yari presented to you, I have facts, constituency by constituency.
Get ready for the ultimate political showdown every Sunday at 6 p.m. Join the dynamic Fᴏᴜᴜᴜ, your trusted guide through the maze of politics and current affairs. Political Roundtable,
where the sharpest mind dissect the hottest topic shaping our world today.
Don't miss out on the conversation everyone will be talking about.
Join Fᴏᴜᴜᴜ as he dives deep into the heart of the matters, exploring the issues that matters most to you.
And there is no subsidy in that sector, according to the government. So what you have, and the government is very reluctant to accept this, that we are funding the discos, they are cash-strapped. And so the government is trying to raise money for them. And that is why...
Tune in to Political Roundtable every Sunday at 6 p.m. only on Mainland 98.3 FM. Political Roundtable, where politics meets passion. Stay informed, stay engaged.
This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Mainland 98.3 FM, your number one radio.
This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
In this budget, that Yari presented to you, I have facts, constituency by constituency.
Get ready for the ultimate political showdown every Sunday at 6 p.m. Join the dynamic Fᴏᴜᴜᴜ, your trusted guide through the maze of politics and current affairs. Political Roundtable,
where the sharpest mind dissect the hottest.
Alright, it's time for Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sahih Fuhad, the show where we look at the major issues in the political space. It's nice to have Barrister about four major issues in the political space. As we have it with politics, it's always a developing story. These are developing stories that, of course, would have a lot of follow-up as we go along, especially as we approach the 2027 elections. It's looking like we're in 2026 already. Our politicians have created a scenario where we're already thinking that, look, 2027 is just around the corner. You can't blame us, really, because they've dominated the conversation in the political space with all the talks around 2027. It's as if 2026 have been removed from our collecting around the elections in 2027. 4 issues to look at. We're going to be going to Rivers State. Eventually, the godfather and the godson and the godchildren are now in one boat. How this peace will be sustained, what will be the implications of this peace that has now been brokered by the president between Nyesom Wike or his estranged godson, the suspended governor of Rivers State, Simina Peter. But it was necessary for peace to reign in Rivers State. That look, whatever agreement he eventually entered into with the president and Nyesom Wike for peace to reign in Rivers State came at a very heavy and bitter price. But like he has always said, there's no price that is too big to pay for peace, especially for the interests of the people of Rivers State. So we ask ourselves, what are the political implications of some of these agreements? You know, he has said agreement is agreement. So we will look at what the media, some of the media outlets are reporting. It was a closed door meeting, but again, inside sources have told different media outlets some of the 4 key points of that agreement. We're going to look at 10 days. What will be the political implications of this agreement for the governor, and what will be his political future? And this is a political victory completely. It all came as a surprise. Maybe not for party members who are very close to the leadership of the party, but for some of us from afar, it never occurred to us that it will come this early. Maybe it would have come at a later time, but not this early, that the chairman of the party, now former chairman, who has now resigned, Umaru Ganduje, has resigned. And the battle to fill that vacant position has started already. There has been rumor that the current secretary to the government of the federation, George Akume, was appointed the chairman of the party, but that has been debunked by the presidency. So as it stands, Umaru Ganduje is out of the chairmanship. Talked about Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ coming into the party, and that's been one of the conditions which Mr. President seems to have agreed to. Well, we look at all of the side by side. Curtis is here, Nuruddin is here. I'm sure they have some more information to give and insight to give onto what could have happened that led to the sudden resignation of Umaru Ganduje as the chairman of the APC. What were the underlying issues will be the question we'll be finding answers to on the show this evening. And then Nasiru El-Rufai is a man that is not afraid to go into any battle. He has decided to pick up this battle against the president, the re-election of this president, and he's saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu cannot win the 2027 elections, and he's even saying that, look, he will be lucky to come third after the polls. What is El-Rufai saying? What could be giving him that confidence? He talked about the dismal performance of the president, but beyond all of that, I'm sure he's a man that understands that, look, politics in Nigeria and the ability to win elections are not totally dependent on the performance of who is in charge. So does he understand his politics? What is he saying? What are the calculations? We try to probe the mind of Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, and see whether it's true that the president would not just fail to win re-election in 2027. He probably will come 4th or 5th or maybe 10th, depending on what happens. And then finally, we go into the PDP defection galore. Sources, according to the Sun newspaper, are saying that, look, the governor of Bayelsa State, just about 6 days ago, he had debunked that rumor. The governor himself debunked any rumor of him defecting from the PDP to the APC. But now that PDP lawmakers in the state, according to this report by the Sun newspaper, is saying that, look, you can go, we are all for it. It will eventually happen. There's nothing to hide. We ask ourselves again, will the PDP lose another? He seems not to be so surprised about anything happening in the political
PDP
space. All right. So
the party will defect to APC.
So we are streaming the show live on Facebook, so you can be a part of the show on Facebook, on YouTube. You can also listen to us via the Radio Garden app. You can listen to us via our website, www.mainlandfm.com. You can. So multiple channels really to be a part of the show. We are also going to open the phone lines eventually. It's interactive for you to also be a part of whatever conversation we'll be having this evening. Barrister Court, it's nice to have you in the studio. Let me officially welcome you back to the round table.
Thanks. Nice to see you guys here.
You look so, fresh and well relaxed, and it's nice to see you looking.
It's good to go on holiday.
Thank you.
Nice.
Where did your chairman self?
I know he did. We all did again together.
They don't settle their matter. We leave them to sort their
So agege bread.
Is there agege bread again?
Yes, there is still agege.
The real agege bread.
Yes. Any bread that is produced in agege is
agege
bread. So all those bread that doesn't have label.
Okay.
That doesn't have label.
See,
the agege bread.
The reason why you don't find it so often now,
yes,
like before,
yes,
because even those who thought they were rich people, they knew they eat agege bread.
Yes,
they don't return to agege bread now. So there's scarcity. Well, I'm sure one of our staff here who helps me with some of these things knows that. I always tell her, if it's not agege bread, don't bring bread to my office. It's just what we grew up with.
But for you, a big man, that's
big man. Why is that?
You should leave it for small people.
If it's not agege bread, don't bring it to my office. And it's a pleasure to start the show, this way. Barrister Curtis Adigba, suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara yesterday, has asked his supporters to accept the terms of his peace deal with the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom in good faith. He was talking to the Simplified Movement, which is his political movement, and he's saying that, look, there's no price too big to pay for peace. Fubara spoke at a meeting with members of his Simplified family in Port Harcourt 24 hours after the Abuja deal. It was a closed-door meeting, but we saw that, look, everyone looked so happy. In fact, I think it was yesterday the governor could see that with the body language of the governor, the suspended governor, he has a lot going on in his mind. But he looks like a man who wants peace, and he doesn't mind what cost it would come with eventually. He said the price is coming at a very heavy and painful price. According to the cable online and other media outlets, there are about 4 agreements, you want to call him, the assembly members too. We saw Martin Emeowele, not too much of a very cheerful atmosphere, but at least the fact that they could stand together, means that somehow we now have a resolution. I think the only thing we're waiting for is when the governor will now be reinstated and we can have the illegal occupier of that seat go back to where he's come from. But Barrister Curtis Adigba, the 4 areas, I want us to start with that. According to the cable online and some media outlets, no second term for you, sir. They've told the governor. Number 2, all the local government elections, about 73 of them in the state, the chairmen of those local government, chairpersons or chairmen as you want to call it, will all be nominated by the FCT minister. That's number 2. So it means that the FCT minister controls the entire local government structure of the state. Key positions also in the cabinet. Members are to be reinstated. Martin Emeowele returns as speaker.
All the allowances paid.
All the allowances that have been owed to them for job not done. They've been, they say they've been doing the job. So that's also part of the agreement, and that these guys will also stop any form of impeachment move against Fubara. Do you think
they need to impeach him? It's already impeached.
As it stands?
Let me tell you something. All this grammar that they spoke, the only thing they succeeded in doing is to take the governor's green pen.
That pen they talked about.
He said, what? Just go and sit there as our errand boy because of 2027. And you know how they got to this junction quickly? They got the sole administrator to constitute and
the State Independent Electoral Commission.
So that is not even a condition, because that had already been settled.
The local government stuff.
The local government stuff has been settled, because there's no way that IBAS appointed by Tinubu on the nomination of Wike,
yes,
we allow anybody from same political family
to win anything in the local government.
So that was already settled. Now, however, what was not settled was whether Sim will run for second term, whether he will be allowed, or whether he will allow Wike to nominate the key people around him,
his cabinet,
as well as the House returning. I think the House returning was a foregone conclusion. They knew that was what they wanted, especially given what the Supreme Court on time, right? And the fact that he will have his key officials nominated by the former FCT minister. I have said in this studio, and I'm going to repeat it, the imposition of a state of emergency
in Rivers State,
which was supposed to be a security restorative tool, was converted to a political tool.
Completely.
I'm
already saying it.
On behalf of the president minister, the president laid his feet on the scale for his minister in the conflict that the minister was losing, and restored the minister,
giving the control and edge.
And that's not surprising. Of course, the minister was a poor student of the president, in the sense that he tried to lift a page from the playbook of the president, who is himself the ultimate political godfather. Amen. And when you are a godfather, you are not looking for justice of any matter.
No.
When you are a godfather, you are not seeking for equality. You are seeking for dominance. And that was what the president got for his minister.
For him, yeah.
Okay? And like we said, this is about 2027. For the FCT minister to continue with his anti-party activities and be able to deliver the state to Mr. President, he must control the structure
of the state.
He must control the finances,
the resources of the state,
and he must control the administration. And he got all that. So this is not exactly about Wike. This is about President Bola Tinubu.
His interest,
yes,
aligning with that of his minister.
That's it. Now, having looked at that carefully, you must also look at the larger picture, which is that the map is shrinking.
For who?
If you are a student of politics, or you understand how politics and law meet at some point, and I'm going to explain that, you cannot become president in Nigeria unless you are able to score a quarter of the vote cast in 2/3
of the state.
In the last election, yes, the president did score some victories in the south, but majority of the votes that pulled him across the line came from the north.
Yeah.
Now, that north today, as you and I know, is shaky because there's been a lot of disagreement. So the president is not counting so much on the north.
It's dicey.
In their projection now.
Yeah, for now.
He's counting much more
on the
southern votes.
Lock it down on the south.
Knows, yes, he knows that the south has got 17 states. He's struggling in the southeast. Now, so the game plan is, and this is why I don't want to go into Ganduje issue. But
we're going to get there, yeah.
But the game plan is try and win
very well in the south.
And then
look
move to the north central.
Look for
with the 6 states. If you can pick the 6 states in the north central, you are to the 17 in the south.
Good to go.
You are about 23, and then you add the FCT. You are closer to 8.
So whatever you get in the north, you call north, yeah.
That's it. So that's what you see, and that's why this president will do everything. Look, the narrative going around now, when you talk about Diri,
yeah,
trying to dump the party, I understand. The narrative going about is that the North wants to dominate the country. And that's why they are so much in a hurry to take the political power back from a southern president. So we need all of you in the south
to have the same voice, have one voice, yeah.
So that we can go into this battle with a united
front. So whose interest is that?
Yes. Now, finally on the because it's not something I even want to talk
about. Yeah.
Similarly,
Fubara.
What
does the future hold for him?
Well, he has a home he can go back to. but what I will tell
he
you,
wants a seat back.
What I will tell you about this is that I don't think it's a done deal that is not going to run for a second term.
I was going to get there.
If you understand how politicians behave, he's going to be so humble
now
and so willing to do anything that Wike wants now. In fact, he's going to start fighting members of his camp, those who stood solidly behind him, just to impress his boss. That I am totally detoxified of any anti-Wike sentiments.
I'm all for my godfather now.
To the point that the same people who are now saying he shouldn't go for second term, you say, Your Excellency, this guy has shown that.
Do you think they will ever forgive him? Do you think they will ever trust him? Because he himself has said that, look, in politics, when they point the gun at you and they don't fire the trigger, They already had intentions to kill. He said it. So do you think that? Look,
you sitting in this studio, did you ever believe that we'll come to this trajectory, to this point? You know, it was in this studio that we said Obasa will never come back.
And he came back.
Again, we speculated about the problem between Sanwo-Olu and the president.
And they resolved it.
It busted out in the open. And they resolved it. You saw the way the governor danced for his 60th birthday.
He was so happy.
He changed 4 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told my friend, what the governor is celebrating is less of his birthday, but more of his forgiveness from his prison.
Because he was a gunner. It was just how he was. No, he has called us.
He got to a point that
he needed to celebrate, actually. I understand, yeah.
He got to the point that commissioners started neglecting him.
Yeah.
Not even visiting him. PS were abandoning him. But when he came back from Abuja after that settlement, all of them went to the airport to receive him.
In the Rivers matter, yeah.
Wike won. Mr. President
Won.
The House of Assembly won. Who are the losers? Democracy. Then the Rivers people.
It was similar. Fubara did not lose.
No, that one is. That one is his problem. Whether it's a loser or
no.
At least he's still. If he comes back, he's still going to be governor.
Yes.
For him, it's a win.
He's been on record as a governor.
No, it's not even about being
governor. He's been able
to make more money in the next 2 years, even if it's not.
And he probably will not even bother doing anything.
What we
again,
have here is the taunt among conspirators. Peace of the graveyard. And the cost of that peace is the public funds of Rivers State. Okay, so Fubara is a winner. He's not a loser. Losers again are his supporters,
who went all out for him,
including myself here, sitting here, who stood behind him strongly, saying that we should all defend democracy, because democracy is not the will of
the people,
that gets them elected to the office. So sitting here talking to you is a loser. Let him go and crawl,
prostrate,
whatever
roll on the floor.
It's not the first time. It's not going to be the last time. But I want Nigerians to know something. What we have is a civil government, not a democratic government.
That has been established completely. Nobody can argue with us on that.
So
that is established.
What we have.
Just civilians in government.
And Nigerians will get what they ask for. Life doesn't give you what you don't ask for. You see, Kenyans are on the street again.
Yeah.
So we get what we ask for. Good luck to Team Fubara. Enjoyment to Wike. At least him and his children can wear more of Louis Vuitton. You know, his first son, the one they call Joachim, is a Louis Vuitton ambassador. You hardly can see him outside of Louis Vuitton.
They've got the resources.
Shoes are $7,000. So
they're happy.
Good luck to all of them.
And I think congratulations to the president who's gotten what he wants.
Oh, of course. So we wish all of them the best of luck. Thank you.
Nuruddin, Vice Curtis is wishing all of them the best of luck. But for those of us who stood for Fubara, not necessarily because we are from Rivers State or there's any other interest beyond the fact that, look, conviction and principle should guide the way we look at this matter. For the sake of democracy, we decided to take that stand. I'll go back to people who are saying that, look, what is this precedence that the president is laying? What does this say about what we've always known about him being a true Democrat, a man that would always do the right things? You know, like one of the messages I've gotten when we had a situation like that in Lagos and the former president seized Lagos money. A lot of people, like Vice Curtis have said, stood with the then governor, now president, on the condition of principles and conviction. But today, does it mean that when it comes to interest, desire, people just throw some of these things away and they begin to find ways to rationalize and justify these things? What comes to your mind has spoken against a lot of the things we are now saying in Rivers State?
Look, you remember that last week I said it. Any fight that is between godfathers and godsons and daughter and our current president is the one that will be the judge.
There can't be a fair, a fair judgment.
There is no way.
He will stand behind the Godfather.
Actually, because that is what I know.
That's his game too.
We know is political. There was a particular. I don't know. Since last week, I've been praying for Professor Larry Fagbo, former Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University. Because there was a book of research that was done on Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Before he has not even signified interest. But that book was tailored towards his ideology on politics, on economy, and everything about that book, every chapter is coming to pass. In fact, in the one on politics, they said, on politics, in every political situation, the first thing that is not looking at, then that is not his interest.
When it comes to interest,
when it's his interest, then he wants to. On this particular one, well, for some of us, we are not surprised. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been a politician. In fact, this is the first politically inclined president we've ever had. So automatically, we should not wait for democracy. Because democracy stands on the structure of rule of law. For people saying he was a Democrat, because the definition that I know of a Democrat, Democrat is somebody not just believing in democracy, but believing in rule of law first in every situation. In any political situation, he look at the rule
and the supremacy of the interest of the people.
So if he fits into that, it could be Democrats. But if you want to look at his antecedent and what is being done now,
the way he plays his politics,
automatically we can't go by that definition of being a Democrat. Then another thing again is this: you see Nigerians, especially politicians, they don't value. It's not that they love democracy. I'm telling you, they don't love democracy. But what they love is that whoever that is in power and their interest is attached to that particular. But the implication of what is going to come after that is what we don't know. But I can tell you, the Rivers people, just like Barrister Kotti said, they are the big losers. Politicians will not lose.
Because this is about the resources of the state. Fubara said it.
Well, because one thing there is this: the underdevelopment. What has the sole administrator done that was illegally occupying that particular position?
I hardly really talk about that solar, because it enunciates me anytime I come to realize. Yes.
Let's not lose sight of one important factor.
All right.
And which is to say that we have democratic autocrats.
Can they
to be a Democrat or is an autocrat, an authoritarian figure?
I think Rwanda too.
You go to Hungary,
yes,
Viktor Orban. You go to Russia, Vladimir Putin.
At least elections are held in those countries.
Power through elections. They then use the constitution and a pliable National Assembly or Congress to then disconfigure the constitution and then impose on. You find men, pliable men. Even we are seeing that in the United States now, where people who ordinarily will resist the pressure. And now, why? The blessings of democracy are not guaranteed.
Even if you are a democratic state.
And democracy is not an end in itself. Democracy, in fact, is so fragile that it needs to be tended to. You will observe that
it's not an end to a means on its own. No. It has to be tended to.
Yes. You discover that Trump's first term, you had people like General Mattis who appointed themselves as the gatekeeper of the United States democracy. They could stand up to Mr. President at the point when he couldn't. He said, I need to leave so that you can hire someone
who will do your bidding.
Do your work. Remember the National Security Advisor John Bolton, who was also at some point, who didn't believe that the U.S. should plunge itself into another war. He had to leave. Again, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Yes, he also didn't agree with the president on a lot of things. Jeff Sessions, the Attorney
General, yes.
And even the man who took over from him. What we have now, and this is what I'm saying.
All correct, sir.
Someone like President Tinubu is looking at Trump. He's looking at Viktor Orban. He's looking at Tayyip Erdogan. He's looking at Vladimir Putin. And he's saying to himself,
They really say they also under a democracy.
So
and
what prefers strong leaders. And they see this whole idea of strong leaders that people prefer in Africa and is emerging in other parts of the world now, is that these leaders are capable of bringing about unity. They just want a wholesome unit. A leader that can lead all of us in one direction to achieve...
In a configuration, just like a zombie-like movement.
And to achieve progress for all of us. But it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Because you see, more often than not, it's about keeping themselves in power. I know of a colleague of mine, Nekati Ozan. He's now going to challenge Tai Chi President for the president. He just packed all of them and locked them up about 4 months ago.
And that's a Democrat.
That's a Democrat. That you have men who are heads of departments, agencies, and ministries. Men who
are pliable.
Who are all pliable. Nobody puts up a resistance.
Yes.
So you have an imperial presidency loading in Nigeria like we have in other places.
Imperial presidency.
Yes. And that's why we have to be very careful. And look, I have said to people, what has democracy really achieved for Africans? If you take, and I'm not advocating for military regime, but I'm saying
we need to ask ourselves.
We have to make democracy work for the people. Look at.
But so far, it has not worked for the people.
Look at Nigeria today. Go back to our history and ask yourself, of all the things that has made the country what it is today, is it the refineries? Is it the third mainland?
Even infrastructure, schools, universities.
How many has civilians built?
You're talking to the military.
Compared to
the military.
Under them, and I'm not saying the military is not corrupt. They're corrupt, but at least you get to see
they make some
things being done.
Consultancy alone for a bridge under a democratic government can reach 19 billion and nothing will be done.
Somebody that
or your
the people that will look
and
at the people meter.
Africans need to begin to ask themselves. The last election won less than 40%
of the votes.
But it's the majority party because it's been able to fine-tune the constitution, block certain area to ensure that it remains in power. Again, he uses religion like Trump in America.
Sentiment.
He said he's sent by God to restore the values. You know, and get the people to be so nostalgic about those values. So in Nigeria here, what you hear is that the president says, "Oh, you know what? Well, I know I'm taking hard decisions, and Nigerians just need to be patient with
and endure."
So
it's darkest before dawn.
He has got 4 years. Now, nobody guaranteed him 8 years. Cut on the lives of the people positively.
Should be planned within the 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
Abraham accomplished those 4 years. Notwithstanding that the country was at war.
Yes.
Today, if you go to Mount Rushmore, where iconic U.S. presidents, you have their boss on a stone there. President Lincoln is one of them. When we talk about President Lincoln, when we talk about the presidency in America, you must mention Abraham Lincoln. It take 4 years to punish the people and then say, "Oh, they have to be patient with you."
Then you come and do magic in 4 years.
You know
Yes.
What sacrifice has this president and those in the leadership team with him made?
None that we know of.
That's it. I will say, okay, we are
also part of the whole.
Guys that see spending money as if Nigeria's economy
is like that of Saudi Arabia. The way they are spending money, because if you can do 39 billion to renovate a conference center, and then you have the other man in your state now.
39 billion. They have built the country a hospital that will save us from spending foreign currency in getting the president to be well in France or in the United
Kingdom.
And the civil engagement, because I call it a civil engagement, it's not even democracy. That is going to hell in it. But the thing that they don't know is this. One of the reasons why many of us against military is not the times of number of roads they do, but because of the freedom and good governance we are looking
open for
is what we are looking for. So a situation in which we are seeing a situation where a president where the president
and democracy
and where the president will make sure that a governor is suspended. That is not even in the constitution. That one is one. Then two, where you see some certain governor file a suit.
Where is that case now, sir? That PDP case for court on the.
But some of them are not in APC. How come? What happened to that suit?
The file is in my house. when I release it, it will continue with
but one thing there is this, and we need to be looking at this particular issue seriously. How come that anything that is against the particular tenor, that we see a situation in which Supreme Court, which we've seen as the hope, the last hope,
and the highest court in the land,
forget
don't
it.
finish.
So that they are now giving a judgment, one that could be open-ended, two that is going to be controversial, that to interpret it. Look at the one of Osun State on local government. Where everybody is just interpreting different kind of. Another thing again is on this particular issue. Thank God that we have National Assembly and they are doing a fantastic work now under this government. They are doing a very fantastic job. But one thing there is what of the judiciary? Because one of the things that make judiciary, the way they were relegated under military era, but during the democratic era, in fact, they are they're supposed to be the champion of the democracy.
I don't agree with you that they were relegated under the military.
But at least
under the military, the judiciary performed better than under democracy.
This level of manipulation.
Do you realize that courts, judges who were...
but you know that...
Have you seen now? Any judgment by any court against the government?
Well, let me tell you.
Against this government?
This government.
If President Tinubu decide to lock out Shettima from the villa today, the Supreme Court will uphold this action.
They will.
That it was in this same country that Obasanjo tried with Atiku.
And the Supreme Court stood.
In fact, it's not about that judgment alone. That judgment lambasted the president at that particular time.
You have no such powers.
It's a joint ticket that you cannot separate.
If he decides today, he will say something.
Look,
Barrister,
to let you know.
Yes.
The problem with the Supreme Court. You remember when some governors went to court to challenge the fiscal and monetary policy of the Buhari government.
Yes.
The court kept adjourning and
adjourning
until the coast was clear.
For them to be able to make a pronouncement.
Okay, the pronouncement of LG autonomy.
No. Thank you, Nuruddin. There are lawyers who are already saying that, look, we said it, that this Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy, that ruling was given, sir. Implementation now.
That implementation will not happen now.
A prophet is without honor in his hometown. Was it not here that I said this was just a political stunt?
That judgment.
Yes, now.
Yes, I said it was a political stunt. The president knows what to do.
If he really wanted local government autonomy,
he can muster.
Now there are even more governors now.
He can muster to third.
No, but he doesn't need even to third of anything now.
No, I'm saying
it's a judgment. It's a judgment.
No, without the judgment, if he really wanted to review the constitution,
every local government in Nigeria. So far, that is what the judgment says. Ministry of Finance, write to every local government in this particular country.
They are still looking for account to pay to between the CBN.
The issue is look, there are some fundamental issues to be dealt with before we get to the point of account.
Account to even pay.
So long as governors control, you just heard now an agreement signed before the president
that the man should nominate
who swore to uphold and defend the constitution.
That's one man should nominate all the local government chairmen.
Well,
now listen, if that man nominated 23
local government chairmen,
and they see it as a favor that he has done to them.
No, favor, he has given it to them.
You know what happens? If you like, pay into their personal account. They will transfer the money.
It's about the resources of the state. But one thing there is at least this one, even if it's what we call Ojuaye, but I know the reason why the one of autonomy will never come in is because even in Lagos State as we speak.
You know the problem? If a vehicle used to run on a tire, and it did that for years, and suddenly the vehicle started running on wood, there's a problem. You know it. Under the military, didn't we have autonomous local
more functional local governments, even under the military?
Even without look, elections to local government very conducted on no-party basis.
Very tough.
And it was free and fair. More credible than what we have now. Under the same people call themselves Democrats.
Even we have civil servants becoming a chairman of a local government if they are good in their local government.
I don't know who is listening, but I've told you here that my own father was a local government councillor, supervisory councillor for education. We had official quarter from Mutukpo local government. If you go there, it's still there near the palace of the Ochidoma. Okay? My dad won Mr. Quarter. My dad had a Land Cruiser SUV.
As a supervisory councillor for a local government.
He goes on inspection and tours of the schools.
To do the job, operational vehicle,
no matter
basically.
How late he returns to Tukpo, that official vehicle must be returned to the secretariat.
Because it's an operational vehicle.
Of the local government. The next morning, his driver, he's called Azoro, his name Azodo then. Azoro would then go to the secretariat
and bring the vehicle.
And bring the vehicle home where he will wash, and then my father will be ready, he takes him to work. These elections were conducted on non-party basis.
By the military.
That again has been appropriated by the state.
Not only that one. What of advertising? What of parks and garages? There's nothing left for the local government. Everything has been taken over. Yeah.
When the Supreme Court just give judgment.
Pay them directly.
Until you can secure some, and that's why I said what has come to argue. In a true democracy, where is the false democracy? Which one
is false democracy?
Which one is false?
Democracy is democracy. That was why some journalists called Rodin fake blogger. I say, which one be? You need subscription to be a blogger.
But another thing that we need to look at is this. I know there are some certain military men. They will just be laughing at it as democracy. I mean, which is ridiculous. Ironical. They'll just be thinking that. I mean, those of them that are not putting Agbada as a Democrat now. Because there are some Democrats now. They call themselves so acclaimed Democrats that beside under the Agbada that is Kaki that is there. But there are some military men that will be looking at that. Even upon the names that people are giving us, being autocratic. There are some things under the civilian regime
that would not have happened under us.
It wouldn't have happened. At least one thing that is so static at that particular time, what gave names to a lot of judges that we are talking about, is because at that particular time, irrespective of what they face, intimidation and everything, they just shown out now that people can buy anything.
And the sole administrators at the state too were able to function.
Yeah, you see, when the president in a supposedly democratic society says, "I don't care." What the report says.
If they insult me,
I don't care. It tells you
a whole lot.
It tells you a whole lot. Because the mindset of a Democrat is someone
to listen to the voice of the people
and then try to make amends. Now, the people will not always be right, and the leaders will not always be right.
But they must be listened to.
But they have to be listened
because
to.
They are representatives. So
you have to explain to them. Because you see, like Machiavelli said, because we all cannot make that decision, we give power to someone to make the decision
for us on our behalf.
Give him our resources, because he can take hard decisions on our behalf. But then you are even making decisions like a drunken sailor,
just riding the waves anyhow.
The vice president lodge that they needed 21 billion to renovate. I know it very well. I've been there so many times.
Even the man has not slept there for a day.
Very few houses in Nigeria can come close to it.
But they needed to renovate it.
And then when you ask these people, where were you living before you became vice president?
That place needed to be befitting.
Look at Anambra, the one who calls himself solution provider, Soludo. The only solution he has provided is a new government house.
No, it's not only
63.7 billion.
Look at the one in Ekiti, where the party chairman collapsed on a hill.
No ambulance, nothing to rescue the man.
They rushed him with the private vehicle.
And are you following events also from Bala Muhammad in Bauchi State?
My brother.
It's almost like
it's almost like every one of them.
It's almost like a criminal enterprise, barrister. It's difficult to say some of these things.
What our democracy, and this is not for this government alone. Okay, at the bottom of the ladder are the Nigerian people.
The lowest gone,
at the lowest rung are the people, and they are the least thought of. They are the least looked after.
Cared about. Nobody cares.
They are the least cared about. Nobody thinks about them when policies are being formulated. Like I was watching a video where a woman nominated for a position in a key government setup said,
where your certificate?
I realized that the school was a scam, but I have gone to obtain
Another one.
OND from another
school, yes.
Now, where is that certificate?
OND.
Oh, if you look at, I've attached an affidavit.
I don't even
to show
see.
that,
I don't see.
To show that the documents are missing, and then they say the person who was now asking her question say, "Congratulations, you have a." You
are scaled through
democracy
because the person that nominated him is just. I'm sure they might even ask the guy why were you asking those questions?
Look, in the recent times, have you ever seen anybody being appointed, being rejected at the screening?
Only El-Rufai.
No, the one of El-Rufai, we know that the president did not want him.
And Miriam Shetty.
Who
was being
she did there before they say your name no did there. Go back. Anyway, it's still political roundtable. Mainland 98.3 FM. I think we'll continue to follow this development in Rivers State. Let's see what's going to happen. The governor
and people must know one thing. It is not about
Fubara or Wike. Yeah,
it's not about Fubara. It's about Wike. It's about the president, based on his interest in Rivers State.
Let me tell you,
it's not about both of them.
Let me tell you when I gave up on Fubara was when he spoke at the funeral of late Pa Clark.
Edwin Clark, yes.
And he said, "You are fighting for me. Have you even asked me
if I want to go back there?
I want to go back there."
Maybe telling them that you better go and keep your peace and don't bother with me.
Don't worry. He set the stage for the total collapse
of that struggle.
Yeah, because after that you saw that a lot of people
just will do that.
Kept their peace.
The best way would they fight for them.
They decided at that point that you can't continue the battle, you can't continue the fight, because first and foremost, like someone sent me a message. The Curtis, we told you that this was not a battle of principle. It was about Fubara wanting to control more of the resources.
And
it was about Wike wanting to dominate Fubara in the sharing of.
You heard about principle, it won't collapse like this.
So you say what has happened between these two guys is that they have reached a comfortable arrangement that everybody is taken care of, except the Rivers people.
Good luck to River. He didn't. All right, good luck.
And if he did,
he don't day. Okay, good luck. The unfortunate situation when it comes to our democracy.
Let them enjoy.
Yeah, the 26 years of sustained democracy, civilian rule. We have a situation.
Should still be living with his parents.
So 26 years now. So 26 years now, he's a graduate.
Not graduate. If he run 5 million 19 FM, we have Barrister Curtis Adigba here. Nuruddin Adigbe here. The succession race has started, Barrister Curtis Adigba. Let me first ask you: are you surprised about the resignation of the national chairman, the former national chairman of the APC, Ganduje? It came to some of us because reports have said that look, there has been pressure. Again, nothing confirmed yet. A deal was struck in Kano State between Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso and the president. Conditions were given that look for me to bring my entire political movement into the APC.
Kano.
The whole Kano.
And we said he's a father of politics in Kano. Somebody said he doesn't.
So
he's running for chairmanship of APC.
No.
Why can't Ganduje remain as chairman of APC and Kwankwanso take over the structure
in the
state? No. What people are saying is that look, Kwankwanso went beyond all of that. That look, apart from even that, the romance or the political romance, our agreement, whatever.
This is not a new development.
Okay.
Don't forget that before, one of the governors who clearly from the beginning stood behind Asiwaju as a candidate was Umar Abdullahi
Ganduje.
Right? Ganduje did everything possible to make sure that Asiwaju was the candidate of the party. Of course, he had his expectations. The Muslim ticket was in the work right from the beginning, and Ganduje had thought that he would be
the
vice.
Even at that time.
Yes. And when he was not even the placeholder, he complained that the guy from Katsina, I think the younger brother of former speaker and former governor of Katsina State, there was a hot mic where Ganduje had complained to so many people, and that, of course, didn't bow well with the president.
Okay, let's give him the chairmanship of the party.
After Abdullah Adamu from the North Central was forced out, the president replaced him with Ganduje because he needed to give him something.
And he just to
so
calm
right
him
from
down.
the beginning, the president never trusted him because of what happened between them. But he needed to keep him in a place where he can monitor him and where he knows he cannot do so much damage.
To the party.
That's why he brought in Bashir to keep an eye as the national secretary.
The guy from Osun State, Ajibala Bashir.
Now, one thing I think most Nigerians may not be aware of is that even within the APC, Ganduje had a difficult time.
Yes.
Because he operates the party like a sole administrator.
Yes.
And most of the party officials have been complaining.
Yes. You will have been removed from January.
And the president is aware. So that's one. The second thing is that as we go into an election where ethics and morality is going to play a big role, you cannot have Mr. Gandula
with baggages. With baggages.
As
they need there somebody who is cleaner and maybe less of, The
other point is that as they are no longer sure of some of the states in the far north,
the north,
they needed the North Central. And it is time to appease the North Central by picking the chairman from the North Central.
From the North Central.
And that's how the rumor about Akume started.
Maybe it was just agenda setting to just push the.
Yeah, but Channels TV, of course, was the one who put the news out.
Yes.
And that's why it went viral. And the presidency was forced into issuing a rebuttal. GF. And then another North Central figure.
As the chairman of the party.
Most likely, Tanko Amakura.
Amakura, yeah.
So that the president can have his men fighting very hard for him.
Locking it down in the Senate.
A lot of discontentment by the people.
And bad perception too of the president. Yeah.
And I think the other point with Ganduje is the fact that as we move towards 2027, there are a lot of state factions of the party that Ganduje had taken position or the side of the governor against their political godfathers. And some of them also have
which states?
For instance, in Benue State.
Okay.
Ganduje clearly is with the governor against the SGF.
SGF, okay.
Yes. And so some of these people also have been pushing and telling the president that
you lose our state too.
Is a polarizing figure. You know, it's someone who has brought about division instead of trying to
unify the party.
He's taking sides with some godfathers and some governors
against their godfathers.
And we need someone who can be
create a balance.
Somebody who will unify
the party.
The party. And then when you go to the local politics in Kano State, the president, you know, in the last election, the president didn't win Kano. I think we won Kano, I think.
Kwankwaso won, yeah.
PDP second.
PDP
followed by Atiku and all that. Now, if Kwankwaso is not going to run in the next election,
yes,
for president,
yes,
it means that this is going to be a straight fight between Atiku
and the president.
And I think Atiku has got a lot of
goodwill,
structure, goodwill in Kano to be able to beat the president. And don't forget that Kano is one of the three biggest states in the country that has
good votes, yeah, the numbers
votes for anybody who wants
to win, yeah.
So if the president is leaning towards Kwankwaso, it will be clear that somehow Ganduje will not be happy.
Yeah.
Because if you recall that after he was elected, but waiting to be sworn in, he went to France. Kwankwaso went to France to visit Mr. President.
Yes.
And for them to reach certain agreement, which was then speculated to include Kwankwaso becoming a minister.
Yes.
And when he was eventually not appointed a minister, he was not happy about that.
And he stepped back.
Stepped back and just maintained this, yeah.
I think what we are witnessing is permutation, political permutation. But the most important reason here, as far as I'm concerned, is that Ganduje has lost usefulness to the president. Because in spite of all that we have listed out, if the presidency sees in him the potential to hold the party down and to deliver victory to him in 2027, none of this will matter.
Jocelyn, a lot of these guys are from the north central part of the country. We'll still talk about whether there's going to be any political implications for these when it comes to the APC in Kano State. We are not still, because whether we like it or not, it's still one of the de facto leaders or the leaders of the APC in Kano State. But for those who are being touted as possible successors, for Umaru Ganduje, the former chairman of the party, we have former governor of Nasarawa State, Senator Umar Tanko Almakura.
He's leading as of today.
Okay, former governor of Plateau State.
He led under Buhari until Abuja
took over.
No, leading in politics does not mean you
will get it eventually. Yeah.
I think the APC chairmanship position is beginning to look like the election of the Pope.
Okay.
It is said in Rome,
yes,
that if you go in as a pope,
Yeah.
going to the conclave.
As a cardinal. Not always, so because Tankwa Makura, then we have former governor of Plateau State, Senator Joshua Diri. Diri, in the calculation.
There are some people also counting him, but it's very, very low.
Then the former governor of Kogi State, the man that wants to go abroad, for treatment. Yahya Bello.
Yahya Bello, no. Yahya Bello.
Before it was in the convoy of Escalade.
Yahya Bello.
There to go to court, fan clutches.
Can there be a Yahya Bello as chairman of the APC?
No, Yahya Bello is no. He can't.
Listen, you guys, I don't understand why you guys don't understand.
Yahya Bello.
That in this country today, anything is possible.
So you think?
No, it's not because he's not a member of the party.
No, you know
he's a member of the party.
But he doesn't have what the president wants as an interest.
No,
that's the thing.
He can acquire loyalty overnight. Listen to me. And the argument that you and I will hear is that these are mere charges. No court has convicted him.
Yes.
The president of the Senate has a case to answer with the EFCC.
And he's the Senate president today.
But the argument is that he has not been convicted of any crime.
No, I'm not even talking about the allegations because there are a lot of them that have allegations.
So what prevents Yahya Bello?
Imagine as chairman of the party.
The party chairman of
the area that I'm looking at is the area of the interest of the president. Look, now, the president is not just looking for somebody in the North Central. He's looking for somebody that will marshal more votes.
What stops Yahya Bello marshalling votes?
I'm coming.
Yahya Bello now a warrior. When it comes to
which warrior? We didn't know.
The white lion.
When is a white lion that cannot prevent Natasha from
deliver the governor of the state.
Or you both drink tea. Drink
now water and not water.
If the president wants him to be chairman,
he will be chairman.
On my list,
but you think Tankwa Makura?
With the interest of the president.
Between Tankwa Makura and George Akume, what do you think? Because
the Akume, the way
2027 is going to be rough.
Yes, so
Amala politics are the highest.
The president will not need a man who will go into a knife battle with a stick.
You will go there with bomb.
With gun.
We are atomic.
Dynamite.
But if
and Makura doesn't treat the business.
It looks like a gentleman. That's what I'm saying.
No, look, if
it's about somebody that can go into a knife fight with a bomb,
ordinarily, Yahya Bello cannot be.
Why?
He can't.
Give us one reason.
One of the reasons.
What one reason?
No, I'm not talking about morality.
Even Ganduje that became the chairman.
I'm talking about
don't you know the baggage?
No, I'm talking about the interest of the president.
What's the interest that Yahya Bello cannot help to fulfill?
Yahya Bello is youthful,
energetic,
is bold. He has no shame.
But is there any youth that
are the qualification he needs?
Is there any youth? Even PDP that youth has become the national chairman?
What I'm saying is that give us one reason why you think Yahya Bello
now does not fit into the interest of the president. It's in the good book of the president.
Why?
Who opened the book?
Which book are you talking about?
Look, anytime the president, anytime anybody, after all, Akpabio is also having case with EFCC. But we have not heard anything. Anytime you are hearing...
No. Wait now.
Anytime you are hearing...
So far, what are you hearing about Yahya Bello's case? How far? Any meaningful progress on the case?
No meaningful progress.
Listen, Mr. President is the one with the pencil and with the eraser.
Okay, can erase it.
If he wants Yahya Bello to be chairman of the party, he will give him all that he needs to be chairman of the party. Nothing.
And it's about baggages. It's not the one with the biggest baggage.
Let me tell you.
What you say?
He's not the one with the biggest baggage.
No, he's not.
Yahya Bello is the most qualified to be chairman of APC.
Why do you think so?
Oh my God, he has the guts.
Okay.
He has youth on his side.
He can talk. He can.
And he will loyal to the end.
Okay, let's leave the APC wahala. Yes.
But with what is going on now, I think no central states are positioning themselves very well, and because the president also, if anybody is telling us that
not central APC members, because if you talk about because it's not about interest of any, it's just about party members.
Central APC member. One thing there is that if anybody is saying president he has won the election,
they deserve it. You think the North Central deserves it?
Yes, by looking at the sharing of that vote.
Within the APC.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't deserve it.
You think so?
No, we don't deserve it.
Why?
You see, the wisdom of the party.
Yes.
This president came. Don't forget that when he removed Abula Adamu,
people thought he was going to go back to the North Central.
And when he removed Mishore, he replaced him
with somebody from even from the state and from the southwest.
This was what led to the resignation of this guy from Kaduna. You remember? The party national
vice chairman northwest.
Northwest, yes. Yes.
The nominating contest.
Yes.
So, I mean, he cannot just realize
equity now.
Another election
equity now matters.
We are not qualified for it. Let them give it to him.
Okay. All right.
And the people from
no, but don't you think within these 2 years you can decide to undo what has been done? Just make corrections.
No, the people that will have fought with the North Central are the Northwest. And the Northwest that they want to. The reason Northwest is looking for something bigger. They are looking for something bigger. You remember that I said last week that the way I'm seeing this, if
the vice president can go to the Northwest.
Because the president is looking for vote in the Northwest.
Where is the speaker?
No, there's nothing concern president with whatever who he wants.
No, the speaker from the Northwest.
I know.
And they have the deputy senate president.
What does Senate president? He doesn't care. The president doesn't care. If the president cares, he will use somebody from the Southwest to be the finance chairman, to be the finance minister.
This is what I think that the Kwakwanso factor is projecting. If Kwakwanso can help deliver the North, it means that Kwakwanso will be the next Senate president. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
I've heard that. But again, you know.
What of the vice presidential nomination? There are people who have said that, look, we could be seeing even a Kwakwanso on the joint ticket with the president.
Shettima is going to be on the ticket.
You think he's going to be on the ticket? I've had people speculate and say that, look, we might have a Kwakwanso on the ticket with the president.
What the president was simply saying, I give this president, he could have emphatically said, no, I'm running with him. But I think that not completely seeing
the picture.
I felt it was safe to say, until I get the nomination of my party, I cannot be talking of a
vice president. Nominee.
So make it open.
Okay.
But it's going to run with Shettima.
But with what is happening, from my own point of view, is that I will not see Kwakwanso. He also has charisma. So he's not looking. But one thing there is that it's possible. What the president wants to do is this. He wants to make sure that vice VP slots, he will still make it open, looking at the calculations, political calculation in the Northwest and the Northeast.
Why you people are not saying our vice president in Nation so many times?
He's been a bit,
It's because the Domino store opened an ice cream shop in the villa. The vice president is the one selling ice cream from there.
I think but he has accused the former vice president of selling ice cream. So he's not selling ice cream.
I think people have forgiven him. He said he was just
the ice cream there.
He don't sell anything now. He don't sell anything.
The brand that sells very well.
Yes.
It's Shettima strawberry.
Okay. But I think that VP slot. My mind tells
he will go with Shettima.
He will still go with Shettima. Okay, let's leave it at that.
This president does not mean all these calculations. When he was taking Jibrin in Kano, everybody said, how can you make something Northwest and you are still trying to Northwest, and it's justifiable. But one thing there is that when he said he's going to stick with Akpabio, nothing happened now.
Okay.
In fact, it took the North Central fought so hard. And look, in the leadership of the House, you took it from us and gave it to Northwest. What happened? Nothing.
So, okay, maybe he wants to correct those things within the next 2 years before the election. But let's talk about Madam Nasir El-Rufai, a man that is always willing to go into a battle he believes it's right for him to go into. He's already talking about the president. He had a very lengthy interview. A lot of the things he said, I think, has been well captured in some of our shows. But I just want to stick to the confidence that the president cannot win in 2027. And that, look, he's not just going to lose the elections. He will come. He won't even get a third. He won't get a third position. It's going to be so bad for the president. They have said that, look, politically he's not done well. Economically he's doing terrible. And that, look, I was part of the people that made him president. So, I'm also going to be part of the people that will remove him as president.
Let's look at the data.
Okay.
The last election, the president wasn't very comfortable. Look at the last election.
Of course, yes, it was a tough one. Yeah.
I think 3 major candidates all won the same number of states.
Yeah. Maybe just
it was a marginal victory, really, if you really look at the whole scenario. Yeah.
El-Rufai, of course, is not doing this for the first time. If you recall.
But he's not doing it for the second time.
Has he ever won any battle of this nature?
El-Rufai came to
Lost,
Lagos.
sorry.
El-Rufai came to Lagos before the last governorship election and gave a speech to a club at the
Ikoyi Club, yeah.
Where he told them they need to displace Bola Tinubu as the godfather of Lagos politics.
And how to do it.
And he told them, you had 8 million registered voters, less than 1 million elected the governor. If you can mobilize and get someone that the people really believes in, is gone. Before El-Rufai changed his position and started supporting Bola Tinubu, he said he will not be vice presidential candidate to someone who is associated with drug smuggling, if you remember.
Of course, yes.
He said all kind of things about Tinubu. Then he ended up in London dancing Bugao.
So at what point did anything did change?
So, if I'm sitting here and I'm like struggling to compartmentalize the El-Rufai that we're going to have in 20 are the leaders of the
Tijaniya movement, yeah.
And they are the largest Islamic
sect in Nigeria.
Not just in Nigeria, in Africa.
If you read Femi Adesina's book, Working with Buhari, he said that in the second contest for Buhari's re-election, there was at the point there was panicking in the villa, given the economic situation
of the country,
the insecurity. A lot of people believe that. He said an El-Rufai came there and pulled out his laptop and he broke it down one after the other. How President Muhammad Buhari was going to win. And he said after the election, it happened the way he said so. But now we have...
So he has his laptop out again.
Now we have a situation where you have an El-Rufai on one side of the spectrum, and then you have the president and his handlers on the other spectrum. Now, incidentally, where the president is going to face his biggest battle is where El-Rufai has his strongest strength. And at the moment, it doesn't look like the president has got politicians in the northern part
enough
of
political capital
who are believers, people who can run through the walls for him
and stand firm.
Now something happened last month. There was one guy called, I think, what was his name? Is it Abdullahi Aliyu or something?
That resigned?
Who was on Channels TV?
Who resigned from the government? Yeah, who said he has never had any access to the president.
In fact,
as he said.
You know, he was on Channels TV.
Yes.
Praising the policies of the government.
What he said was that, look, we've always worked for this president. We've done everything, but all the time I've been working for him, I've never had any access to him. He's been meeting with royal advisor.
Very few ministers have access to him. You know, so this is a battle that I'm not going to underestimate El-Rufai, and I will not underestimate the president.
Overestimate El-Rufai, underestimate the president.
Yes, I think both of them have the resources. One has got more money because the president has more resources.
More resources, yeah.
But the president, the perception of this president in the north of the country is that it's anti-north, and that he has come to impose poverty on the people. And the people also, the insecurity and all.
And that perception is well enshrined in the north.
Even in the south.
Even in the south.
Those who, if you push to the side, the tribal and religious sentiment, most people will tell you that this president has not done well, he has failed, hopefully. But again, like lizard, like the proverbial lizard, who falls from the wall on the ground.
No praise me, I praise myself.
No praise me, I praise me. The president is on record praising himself.
I've done well. He even said you can't even score me. I will score myself.
So please, nobody should underestimate El-Rufai. And you see, and it's also a very volatile personality.
You will not keep quiet.
Don't forget that El-Rufai was one of the governors who took President Muhammad Buhari administration to court in the final days. But it's the same El-Rufai who is first to prostrate before Buhari.
Being down prostrate.
So what that tells you is that El-Rufai is a handful. And if it tells you, and he has nothing to lose, really. He has nothing to lose. Even if the president is re-elected, El-Rufai has got nothing to lose.
He would have done what he needed to do.
But nobody should underestimate
Malam Nasiru
El-Rufai, especially in the light of the economic realities of the Nigerian people.
Beyond the economic realities, you know Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, you know his you follow his politics, you know his trend with the Tijaniya movement, like Barrister Curtis have said, with the current emir. Do you think that, look, some of the things we're already seeing with the president trying to consolidate on this in the south, get everybody together, when it's everybody now, the political structure, get all the governors, if not most of the governors, not all the governors in the South together, is a reaction to some of the threats that people like El-Rufai are already posing to the re-election of the president. You think the president knows that there's trouble, there's fire on the mountain?
Politics of the North. The way politics you talk to, you don't see people on the street that you talk to.
So you have opinion leaders.
You have opinion leaders. And one of the opinion leaders, Northeast, the tentacles of
North really
is going beyond Northwest. Let us be, look, if you know the role that he played during the first time and second time of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo as president, APC is coming in 2015.
The coalition of
the coalition and the role that he played. If you know how he became governor, you know he was the first governor that tried that
a Muslim ticket in that state and won.
In fact, I was one of the person that said that
you will lose.
In the South. I don't know how he wants to do it in that south of Kaduna. You understand now? But one thing there is this, and with what is happening in Kajuru at that particular time, he won in that particular local government. So, another thing again is that there are some people that are sons of the bigger men in the North.
The political elite
is one of them. El-Rufai, there is no, even if it is APC,
there's no door he cannot knock.
There is no door he cannot knock. So, automatically, if he's talking from that strength, we can say that from 1999 today, I don't want to relate the one of 1960 from independence. I don't want to add to it because those politicians, we don't have their kind again. But let me say from 1999 till date, this is the only time we have political inclined presidents that you cannot overrate it. If you look at the way he won his primary, if you know the way he progressed from being a governor, being a leader and whatever, and
eventually becoming president now.
So automatically, you cannot underrate him. But one thing that is so certain here is this. There is fire on the mountain, especially in the North. And that's why you see a lot of... You think it's going to be very easy for the president to remove Umaru Abdullahi Ganduje?
So it's all about the calculation.
It's about the calculation. Did you think that Shettima is running with him?
That is leaving it open.
That is leaving it open. It has to do with a lot of things. Do you think it is easier that it's making sure some certain states in the Southwest, in the South generally, that they have to come to the APC? So automatically, North, and don't let us deceive ourselves, northern part of the country, let me put it together, North Central, Northwest, Northeast.
Yeah.
The vote that will come from that place is more than our own in the whole South.
And you'll be the decider.
So automatically, what it now means now is this. The strength of the North and the narration that is going on ground determine the resources gathered from the North. So, and that North is the brainchild. In fact, is one of the areas that you can say that El-Rufai and his people have distinction. So automatically, I can tell you, as much as I will stand with what Barrister Kotti said, I will not underrate the president because of his political acumen, and at the same time, I will not still underrate El-Rufai because
so it's a balance. You think it's a balance game for now?
The president has got to find credible politicians in the North, not the grifters.
No, it's not about credible. It's about somebody can be credible,
but doesn't have the following. What of the following? The credibility now in what area?
You have credibility,
okay,
and then you are empowered by the president with a huge.
So when you say credibility, sir, is it about the? I want you to break down what you mean by.
So what is happening?
Who is that political? What you mean? The president should look for a credible person in the North.
So what is
I want you to break down that word credible. Yeah, what do you mean?
Right now in the North is that most of the foot soldiers of the president in the North are discredited politicians. People have no weight.
That people will not believe in.
You know what? Because they lie, they tell the president a lot of lies, giving them a lot of jobs, giving them a lot of money. But they are not actually helping him.
They are not really connecting with the people as much. Yeah.
And others will be looking at it and say, well, look, these guys are political vultures. They make money from any government that comes. And then
anywhere so.
That's it. But you know, we're talking about courage. One of the things in our country is that you never find people who show courage. Now, when we're in the studio here, news just broke.
Okay.
That Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who will be up for re-election, in the midterm
elections,
just decided that he won't be running again. Why? Because he voted against the bold, beautiful bill
tax of President Trump,
which angered the president. The president said,
spending
I'm going
bill.
to primary you. I'm going to get somebody to run against you. And the man said, I'm keeping my vote. But Mr. President, Tom Tillis saying he's not supporting that bill, and Alisa McCoskey of Alaska going to pass
to balance it up now.
So this is talking about political courage now
and principles
based on conviction, because this bill is going to balloon the deficit by
government spending,
$8 trillion.
Kai.
Reason why Elon Musk, for example, said, "Look, I'm stepping aside."
Pride themselves, as the party that keeps the
deficit low.
Meanwhile, the only president to have balanced the budget in the last 50 years was Bill Clinton, a Democrat.
So all the rhetorics are, but let's take the last issue before we open the phone lines by Mr. Curtis Adigba. We looking at the former Senate President Bukola Saraki was in the news recently when he said, he had an interview and like, look, the era of defection from the PDP has not ended. Probably going to see more defections.
He himself is on the line.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why do you trust all these people self?
No, I'm just saying that my mind tells me that there will be people who are going to stay back in the PDP.
Let me tell you how we'll do it.
Okay.
I have given all my effort to reconcile the party.
I think irreconcilable. I have to take a decision. But my people have told me, don't wait there. Go.
Only straight. Go.
But do you think, let's look at the PDP. These defections, for whatever is left of the PDP after this mass exodus ends, it will eventually end one day. So we are just being worried about the party, really.
It's going to transform into something else.
Okay, maybe merge.
It's already in the work.
Yes, no.
Look at this guy, the governor of Zamfara State.
Yeah, Dauda Lawal. Yeah.
It is not borrowed a dime
to run the state.
To fight bandits and all that. He's doing very well.
And they are making progress.
Relatively.
There's a lot of pressure on him to dump the party also.
Even Matawale told him that you better come now.
And join the APC. Because what these people understand.
So there might be people who are going to stay back.
I think there are people who will stay back and move into another
major.
Look, even in the case of the governor of Akwa Ibom, he's not a believer in APC.
He gave his reasons, yeah.
If you listen to him, he said he doesn't want to be sponsored by a splinter group.
And then the court will now nullify my victory eventually.
And then the election is taken away from him because the person that sponsored him.
He's not recognized legally.
It's somebody who's, what literally he's saying is that there's a lot of waves on this water.
It's uncertain.
My boat is not strong enough to go through the waves.
But why didn't he join other parties who have no,
Because he has to belong to the bandwagon.
It's about waves. There are other parties without any wave. So why the APC?
But one thing there is I must say, look, what is happening to, because we won't know.
Let me ask you, do a Diri would defect? You think so? The Bayelsa.
With what is happening, what did he have again? He's a second-time governor.
Because if you look at the whole South,
so
Bayelsa, Delta.
Look, he made defect, but it doesn't need to defect.
Because it's a second-time governor. But although he wants
political future,
he wants to Senate. He probably wants to go back to the Senate.
Yes. Then another thing again that he needs to.
He cannot win his Senate.
Even if he stays in the PDP.
Yes.
But again, until politics, and some of these defections that we are seeing, because look at Delta State, for instance, there was no way the PDP would have lost in Delta State.
Yes.
There's no way the PDP would have lost in Akwa Ibom. But all these guys invented reasons why the PDP lost in Edo State for different reasons. And first and foremost, the governor was up against the monarch.
So it was self-inflicted
injury. And with other
injury.
People that he doesn't even need those fights.
Always up against them. He was up
against
the palace felt disrespected by that.
And when you go against the palace in Edo State, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, So that's one. The other thing is that the PDP had a divided home.
It's true.
The deputy governors issue Shuaibu and all of that,
So, and if you look at the margin, of course, you saw that.
Even with all the ulabalu.
But finally, Barrister Curtis, let's talk about Seyi Makinde and Nyesom Wike. Is it choreographed? Do you think it's a real fight? There seems to be an interest that Seyi Makinde is pursuing that seems not to align with the interest of Nyesom Wike in the PDP. Do you believe that?
No, you are right. Don't forget that Seyi Makinde wants to be president. I told you here.
He said it's people that are doing the posters, or not him.
No. Even the body language.
There was the prophet who told him he will be president, and
so he wants to run in 2027.
This was going to be his best opportunity. And he wanted to run on the ticket of the PDP.
Okay.
And now Wike is part of those shredding interest compatibility.
They formed the G5.
They formed the G5.
Yes. And we know they are going to fight.
And what was the interest then? Wike wanted Tinubu elected as president so he can stay relevant politically.
Seyi Makinde want to retain his state.
Wanted to return his state.
And support the president.
And for the president to ensure that Tesla following
did not have weight.
So now that interests are not aligning, we are already seeing. So, and you think that this is going to widen the more? It's going to cause more trouble.
No, it's true. No, with the votes among the working committee and what is happening now. One thing there is this: Wike want to get hold of PDP and using it as a bait and tool
to continue to negotiate with
the.
But let me ask you, if I'm fine for the full line by Sarkozy Nuruddin, what eventually will end this entire anti-party activities of Wike? Where do you think it would all end? Is it going to eventually join? I want us to project now, begin to look at and say, okay, this is a guy who currently has to continue to do what he's doing to the PDP. The game is clear. It's obvious that, look, it will continue.
The time it will end is if Tinubu is not re-elected in 2027.
So what is he going to do?
I'll tell you what is going to happen now. Wike is more, today, as we speak, is more empowered than any other time. Why do I say so? The resources of Rivers State that he didn't have, he couldn't lay his hand.
Now he has it, at least.
And then the resources of FCT.
He's still there.
Where they are constructing and renovating for 39 billion, constructing roads for billions.
Millions, and nobody's counting the cost, really, yeah.
Of course, and money is power.
In Nigeria, we apply politics here.
Money is king here. So you are now going to have a Wike who is in a better position to fund all the operations of the PDP. How did he even take over the party in the first place?
Funds, yes.
Funds. He was funding the party.
So he would probably eventually now hijack the party for himself.
Don't forget that Wike was the architect of your Chairmanship.
Coming at the chairman. And his removal too.
And now he also made him step down.
He was the one who removed his kinsman.
Secondus.
Because of his own ambition.
Because of his ambition to be president. And that was because he was the one funding the party. Now, as we speak, apart from the governor of Zamfara, Bayelsa,
Taraba State?
Taraba.
Osun.
Rufai is the leading contributor to the
party. Yeah. Bala Mohammed Bauchi.
Yeah, but again, you know something. Even Bala Mohammed.
Yeah.
I do not think Bala Mohammed is a PDP man who is anti-Tinubu. I think he's a closet supporter of the president.
Yes.
Because he has a very good relationship with
Wike, yes.
Look, so what you are going to see is that Wike is more empowered. He's going to go on more rampage.
Yes.
In fact, the next meeting of the PDP,
where
we agree as to who will
become what, yeah.
Wike will
be the dominant factor there.
Get all his men
into those positions.
And before 2027, the PDP will come out openly and announce that we don't have a candidate. If you listen to Gabriel Siswan, former governor,
no, it's also open to even joining the APC. He said it.
He said, look, if anybody wants to be presidential candidate of a party like PDP this time around, he's wasting his time. So what you are going to see is...
So you are saying that we might even see the PDP say, no, we have no candidates, we endorse the APC.
Become like Apuga. In 2027.
That really doesn't present candidates.
Come out and say we have no candidates.
We are supporting.
And that will happen under Wike
leadership. So that is his plan.
And the others will have to leave the party for him. Okay, so well, this is where we open the phone lines. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. It's been a very wonderful conversation, very fantastic conversation, I must say. Engaging one, a lot of projections, permutations, as to what the political future holds for some of these political parties, individuals. We've talked about Fubara. We've also talked about Nyesom Wike and his politics. We've talked about Umaru Ganduje, who has just resigned his position as the chairman of the party. The calculations in the North, El-Rufai also saying the president will not see draw. Don't be thought itself, no go see. And then we've now talked finally about the future of the PDP, looking at the reports from the Sun newspaper saying the PDP legislators in the state have given the nod to the president, Diri, to defect to the APC. When will these defections end, and what will be the future of the PDP? 09136000410, Hello, good evening. Okay, let's see. Hello, good evening.
Well, good evening. Yeah, no, good evening. I say good evening to all of you. You are welcome back to this.
Thank you.
My name is Akagwadi. I'm calling from Sangota.
You are welcome, sir.
Indeed. My calling is just to welcome you from holiday and to tell you on stopping the killings in Nigeria, and indeed they have to restore peace to this and security to this country and give justice to those people who have been massacred, both in Benue, Eko, and other places in the last maybe 25 years.
Okay.
We want to working on a project to take to partner with two people, particularly Barrister to help us get all the stakeholders in Benue. We want to write a petition to International Criminal Court so that we can take these people to Hague to go and face justice, whereas here you cannot have anybody above the law.
Okay, we'll
try. Deciding as the past president and leaders in this country at various capacities, we need to take them to the International Criminal Court in Hague. And it has been done in Liberia, it was done in Ivory Coast, Rwanda, and some other countries.
We'll look into that. We'll reach out to you, Chief. I think by Curtis would.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ambrose.
You're welcome, sir.
Yaya Bello is a tough man. Oh. In fact, if you want to talk of a rugged man that government will back up, you didn't see how he returned this thing back to Igbira land. Did you see? He was the toughest governor among all the governors. They didn't want him in Kogi. He came back for second term.
And eventually installed a successor.
And he installed a successor. And you say that man, if Tinubu is looking for his kind of people, I'm telling you, that man is the number one person. Then I'm just laughing. You know, initially, they said, I can tell you that for free. And we are just in 2025. If the press, they should begin to allow people to register. How can the ordinary 8 million people determine the fate of 100?
Yes, we got the numbers or people that registered the last time, but people don't vote.
People are ready to vote. Even the last time, these things, there is some abracadabra in it. Okay. They should register people. This thing should be continuous.
All right, to vote.
That is true.
But not the numbers.
But the numbers that refuse to vote.
I will be in APC. Because sometimes you speak as if you are in some of all this meeting where all these arrangements are being made, and you don't come to the public and expose us. We will probe you for that. I will report it to the state chairman.
Expel me.
In democracy. I want to speak on El-Rufai. See, Ogafor, let me tell you this. I'm an APC person, and I'm speaking in my own capacity and not representing the party. But this is it. El-Rufai has no major. See, even in Kano, I'm telling you, even in Kano,
he's from Kaduna State. He's from Kaduna State.
We will defeat Katsina, I mean.
Kaduna State.
We will defeat him over and over and over again, even in his polling unit. Okay. Yes. I know what I'm talking about. See, like a technocrat. You understand me?
Yeah,
he's not a politician like who wants to maintain his standard.
Thank you, Gege Joshua. God bless you. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, the three wise men.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. So funny, Ogafor. It's so funny. Where we will sit in Lagos and we say we will defeat El-Rufai. So, that is by the way.
He's a party member.
Yes. He will not vote in Kaduna State now. He will vote in Lagos State.
He may have party members who are telling him what is happening there.
Share with you. Me, what I'm bothering about is about the INEC.
Okay.
I don't know, Ogafor, I plead with you for something concerning this INEC. I beg you that you people should emphasize on this INEC issue, the voters registration.
They've given a date. August, I think, middle of August or so. Yeah, I can't exactly.
Okay, because that is what I'm so concerned about that, because if we are talking about 2027, we cannot be talking about 2027 without people being registered for voter card. So That is aside. And all these people will come and be telling you this is what they have achieved. You know, sometimes so Wike, the attention that is given.
We'll wait to see whether it will break on or not. Let's really take some of the messages we have. At least not for now.
There's incentive.
So and alignment of interest for now. So it's for me, I don't see that might breaking anytime soon because the interest aligns perfectly, at least for now.
That is what is important.
And that's what is important. It's about interest, you know. So let's take some of the messages we have on Facebook. We have Abdurrafiu Alaba saying, good evening to you, honorable men, and congratulations to all the Rivers people, especially those who have been clamoring for peace in the political brouhaha in the state. Also, I will speedily thank by Nyesom Wike and Governor Fubara for allowing peace to reign in their midst. And the greatest thanks goes to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You've turned this place to a vote of thanks platform. What exactly are you saying? You should work with Wike and you should work with Wike and the lawmakers. On the side of our party, APC chairmanship, he has resigned. However, there is no cause for alarm. I'm sure we'll ride along later. All this happening in our party is nothing but the survival of party in 2027. We want to win more votes than that of 2023. Any chairman that want to come, yes, he said, yes. He said Ganduje is the best chairman, but he will be carried along eventually. He's saying Fubara should not have been taken serious. Any peace deal that is not constitutional is never a peace deal. Rather, it's just after his own selfish interest. The rule of law must be followed. On the issue of Ganduje resignation, there was a rumor that the president is trying to bring Kwankwaso as VP to counter the strong position he's getting from the Northwest. Knowing fully well that Ganduje and Kwankwaso cannot be in one party, he has to sacrifice Ganduje after all. He has no. They can always be in one party.
Both governor
and vice and deputy governor. And everyone's did not fall. So, all right.
Kwankwaso facilitated Ganduje getting a job
at the villa. So
yes. Then they went back to contest again when he was
It's not that bad though. No things. Politicians can always align. Yes. You know, it's just about the interest. John Benjamin is saying, good evening, sirs. I've been waiting for this program, and my most joy is hearing Barrister live and direct. He's with us in the studio. Father Ebumiosi Moral is saying hello to us and asking after our morale, and he's sending message from T.A. Lagbaja Cantonment, Army Cantonment in Ikeja. Emmanuel Obadipe is saying the last straw that broke Fubara's back is no second time for him. Well, he agreed to it, according to reports. Ishola Davenport is saying, good evening, sir, Fuara and everyone, and evening to your analysts too. Concerning Rivers State, I believe SQ know easy like that. I don't know what Fubara wants again. If I were him, I would let the officer keep the logo. That if it was him, he would have just allowed the thing and you not go back.
And funniest thing there is that between now and the next 2 years,
anyway, they say that the bed box say to the little ones, they're pouring hot water on us. Just be calm.
Just stay calm.
Be cold.
Eventually. So it might just be a political strategy that makes a lot of sense at the end of the day. Emmanuel Obadipe is saying that okay, I think he gave his contribution somewhere. I'll go and look for it. Kabiru Adigbero is saying good evening, Mr. Fuad and the others in the studio. Thank you so much, Kabiru Adigbero. We have Taiwo Quadri saying good evening to the crew and people in the house. Fubara has lost it all. He's finished politically. Fair enough. He didn't call us
but
names.
Not economically.
Well, which is also a good. But he said it's better he didn't call us name like Sanwo-Olu did when he eventually reconciled with his.
Shebi GSC.
Begged for him. But he said there was no problem really.
Sanwo-Olu never even spoke to anybody.
No, when he eventually said we are crying more than he believed. Yes, he said we were crying more than he believed. You were not in the country, Barrister.
Yeah, he said would they cry?
And when I keep quiet this time. Patrick Obi as well is saying all the PDP governors forum should continue with the legality of the state of emergency in the court. At least we'll need to know the powers of the president with respect to the matter. The court, for me, my mind tells me that court, in that case, in court, Biki Chuk, the people of Rivers are the big losers. Aziz Odukale is saying, good evening, three young wise men. Democracy is a scam in Africa and Nigeria. Fundamentally, my take on Rivers State, because I know it will be discussed, by Socrates, I have learned my lesson with the development in Rivers. And the lesson is that I will never take sides with any politician again.
Politicians.
With yourself,
Governor Fubara spoke with the two sides of his mouth. He said his spirit has left the government house and that he's not desperate to return there. What has changed now? But don't you think that beyond him, there could be other forces saying that, Oga, better go and beg and go back to that place? Maybe his wife, for example, Barrister. How much more What kind of pressure do you think people like his close associates will give?
I don't know about others, but I think the wife that I have will be the one that say don't go back there at all.
That's your own wife. You don't know the
has inherited some cost to keep them going.
So he has to just go.
Whether he's governor or not, he will do that. I mean, people will come around.
And he better do that when he's governor.
Now that he has 2 years more, he can fill the jar where a lot has gone out from already by fighting. So he will lose politically, but economically
he will be fine.
He will be fine.
Even if he
I wish him the very best in life.
All right. So what becomes of his supporters, the others who were perceived enemies of Wike, who stood by him? Truth is, Wike is currently the governor, while Fubara is the deputy governor of Rivers State.
Look, does anybody care about supporters in Nigeria here?
No.
Do members of the National Assembly go home to consult
to go and talk to his people?
Fubara disappointed majority of his supporters because they believed he was intimidated with the state of emergency by Mr. President. On Ganduje, I believe he was booted out of the party to allow Kwanso to decamp to the APC. And finally, on El-Rufai. El-Rufai is capable of causing a major political blow to Mr. President's re-election in the North in 2027. Eugene Oxlade is saying, good evening, men in the studio. Unfortunately, what is happening in Rivers and the way the president plays politics are the reasons we are pitched in the same place economically with countries like Yemen, South Sudan, Bangladesh. So, because again, I just have to create a balance. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Ganduje, good evening. Fubara, his mother is coming back home. All I know that APC will lose, they will lose Rivers State. And if you look at the camping, it's only the south that the camping. That is where Tinubu is getting it wrong. Because our God can tell us they do like they will do, but the south they will not agree. Because even Delta State, when Delta State when the governor of the camp, all of the camp, when he was the deputy vice president, didn't win Delta State, no winner. So now he go winner, he go clear.
Okay. But
I greet Barrister Curtis and
Nuruddin.
Yes,
you're welcome.
I beg, help me one NEPA for 5 days, no light. In Mafuluku. For 5 days now.
I thought they've started giving you lights. What's going to happen?
Are you buying a?
I thought you were close to
5 days, no light. if Aboki not bring water, we know we'll go toilet. We'll tell them like that.
Okay, leave your toilet water away from our radio.
Okay, okay, what?
I'm with you.
You see, for people who are saying APC will win, will not win this, they will win this. I know that what the government and Wike and his Oga they are planning is different. And what they are planning is not that we are not involved. They want to win the election the way they want to win it. Whether we vote or we don't vote or whether we register, we don't register, it doesn't concern them. Even the legislature, because that's their plan. Well, thank you.
I'll tell NEPA to bring your light.
Hello, good evening.
You owe me an apology.
What's happening? What's
You know, say that day I tell you, that day, organic was there, Barrister was there.
Yes.
When I was telling you, see the police who they give Fubara. Some months back. When I tell you, this is the quality that they give Fubara, you are everything man, where they get that. You want me to apologize?
I am sorry, no verse. Hello, good evening. Good evening, Madam Salah.
I agree to.
I agree to you too.
You see, to dismantle this president in 2027 go hard to. Because it already reflected a serious injury on this opposition. And, you know, when you look at sentiment aside, he has no that political strength. In 2027, it's very hard for him to deliver his own steps now.
The North, how strong is El-Rufai, and should the president be worried about El-Rufai?
For me, he's not all that strong. Politically, most people will not agree with me, but you know what? El-Rufai is not all that strong politically. That is why this alliance of them cannot give any. He deliver Kaduna to APC. Or you understand?
And with
any other political figure.
President also lost in Lagos.
You know why? Because the sentiment around 2023 was so hard.
Ġemil, at that point, Babani, Other point, Babami. 2027 will be on sentiment, tribal sentiment.
Okay.
But if you look at it all wide, no matter the sentiment, whichever way you look at it, sir, you get me? The president have understand that very well. That it will
president to lose. In other words, is in the best position to win it. If you give, if you understand Nigerian politics, do you understand?
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Fuad.
Yes, good evening.
God bless you, sir. This is your friend, Mr. Chukwudi from Sango.
You're welcome, sir.
God bless you, sir. And all the gentlemen there. God bless you. All the master. Well, there is anybody, whether I do any election, prepare the judiciary 2 weeks, 1 week, dashed the judiciary a lot of plots of land and houses in Abuja. That is number one. Take it or leave it. I mean, man, today I'm saying this. So, whatever I make is the president gets it, and that's what has been happening.
Okay, all right. Prince Samuel Ofobwis. Well, we've learned our lessons. Chibundu. If he wants a second term, he was one of those that made Buhari yield for bad. Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛ, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's nice and refreshing to have you in the studio. It's out to come back. And this is how we get today.
We are talking about the unmentioned things that happen.
Or men bring strangers into the home.
No, when men bring strangers, they bring it in another.
In a marriage, Abi, when they bring
in a marriage, when you bring one.
Who is a stranger?
Your wife can bring somebody from church. Please let us help her.
Let her be staying here with us. Okay, so things can happen.
And then you can also bring your family, like your sister can come and stay.
Those ones are not strangers. No?
You know that they are strangers
when they come when they start living with you. So you want to look at all the wahala that can come from it.
Look at, should I stay with my sister or should I stay with my wife?
Okay, we'll listen. There was scatter everywhere. Before people live together, now people are now strangers.
It was communal.
It don't change, Abi.
Our household were all with us.
It not be like that again. Everything. All right, thank you so much. This is what we call the Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's do this again.